Hey, GLP-1 Plus SideZ community. Before we jump into the podcast, please take the time to leave us a 5-star review on whatever audio platform you're listening to the podcast on. Share your story and how the podcast has helped you. This will help us get referred up in the audio platform so that we can reach more people that need our help, our support, and guidance from our doctors. Help us get loud and change things. Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus SideZ Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus SideZ Podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus SideZ Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together, because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus SideZ Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault. Hey everyone, before we dive in, I really want to share something personal with you. About, I want to say like 8 to 10 months ago, after losing 100 pounds on GLP-1s and keeping it off for a long time, I started regaining out of nowhere, and I was terrified. But I also started having hot flashes and bouts of crying and snacky cravings and waking up at 3 a.m. unable to go back to sleep. It turns out I was in perimenopause. So I started hormone replacement therapy, which is also called HRT, through a telehealth called Winona that specializes in this. And it changed everything. And now I'm sleeping better. And my hot flashes are all but gone, thank God. And I feel like myself again. And it turns out that you can actually start perimenopause as early as 35. And well, I'm 46 and she's here. HRT has really come a long way, and there's just no need to suffer anymore. So if you're like this and you're in the same boat, you can check out buywinona.com and you can use the link in our link tree to save some money.
Want the fastest working GLP-1? For half the price, Ro now offers FDA-approved weight loss injections cheaper, with results you can see faster. Lose 15% of your weight with the formula from Eli Lilly that hits not one, but 2 hormones to curb hunger and nausea. Weight loss faster, confidence higher, price cheaper. See if you qualify at ro.co/TV.
Welcome to the
Hello
podcast. How you doing, Kat?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm lovely. Your sounds amazing. This is my sultry voice. Why am I not doing this for a living?
Welcome to the Plus SideZ. This is the romantic hour. This is Midnight Madness.
Delilah, right? Delilah.
We're still on the air. You know what? No, we're staying focused today.
Sorry. Yep, swirling already. This is what happens when 2 friends with ADHD and obesity start a podcast. Hey.
We are focusing.
Here we go. We're back in it. All right. We have to reel each other in. This is how this works. Mm-hmm. We are so glad to have you. If you're new here, we're going to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. And if you're not new here and you're a regular, hi, we love you.
Thank you.
Right now to like, subscribe, share, and give us a 5-star review.
5-star review. Yep.
Please. But if you're not those things, then let me tell you who we are and what we're about. So this is the Plus SideZ Podcast. I'm Kim and Kim Carlos, and this is Kat Carter. And we've been friends for a long time. We both have obesity and we have ADHD, and we both have been on GLP-1s, and it has really changed our lives in terms of health, mental, all the things. And we connected because we wanted to elevate this conversation. This podcast is an education and advocacy podcast because we think that you are worthy and deserving of care. And it's not just care for medicine, because sick people do deserve medicine, but it's also care for everything. So like community, mental health, I don't like to call it diet and exercise because I think words matter. And that was an old prescription. I like to call it movement and nutrition. So that's what we talk about. We talk a lot about that. Mental health support, dietitians we've had on the show, had one on this week. So that's what we focus on here. We are really trying to help you in your journey. And we also, Kat and I, we go to the Hill. We work with other organizations to try to change things. So we hope that you'll stay with us and get loud and change things too. I've been on these medicines for 3.5 years. I've lost a total of 110 pounds, but perimenopause is kicking my ass. So I've gained 10. Nah, that's okay. I have a plan. Okay. But this is really like this, the food noise turned off from me and it let me be more in control of my health. This is not a weight loss podcast or weight loss content. This is a health podcast for people who have metabolic disease. So we're so glad to have you. That's my spiel. I'm way longer over. Kat, you did it.
You did amazing because that was even under 30 seconds.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
Anyway, so you'll appreciate that we're not on a time clock. But hey, I'm Kat Carter. Kat Carter 7. And my computer doesn't do the great things that Kim's computer does. But anyway, I'm Kat Carter 7 on TikTok, Mrs. Kat Carter on Instagram. It's MRSKATCARTER. I'm starting to love Instagram a little bit more. So just go hang out over there. All right. Kim and I, we kind of have a very similar journey. The funny thing is, I say this like every other episode or every few episodes, Kim was on the Ozempics and I was on the Mounjaros. This was back in 22, 23. And I was very top secret with it. I think I finally told my husband about a month after I'd been in it. And then Kim just blabbers all over on TikTok and says, I'm on Ozempic. And I saw one of her TikToks and I said, what?
She goes in the comments, you're on it too? I'm like, hell yeah.
Yay, I have a friend and a friend and a friend and a friend. So anyway, you're not alone and don't hide it. I literally really did hide it quite a bit. Lost 100 and I'm finally at 100 pounds. I'm trying to get a little bit past, get to like 110, maybe 120. I told Kim last recording, if I get under 200, I am going to poo purple Twinkies. All right. And so I don't know how I'm going to do that, but it will happen. If I hit like 199, purple Twinkies, I will post them.
I think it's really like, if you don't follow Kat, you should, because she has a lot of like fitness tips as well. Like, and she also is a baker and a cook. She makes me food. Oh, it's great.
I had a prep biscuits today.
So
anyway, but yeah, that's the story. We love fitness. We love you. We love the plus sides.
Damn straight. Let's get started, eh? So what we're going to do is we have on people to share their stories. We also have on clinicians and experts in this area to help validate those stories with facts, science, and data so that we can move the heart and the head and change this stigma, because it's a bunch of trash. Obesity is a disease, okay? Okay. All right. Yay. Now let's invite in our first guest, and we'll go from there.
Exciting.
Welcome, CeCe. How you doing?
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hey.
Can you hear me okay? Everything good?
I heard you talk about Delilah and I just relaxed.
He's on TikTok.
What?
Yes.
I need to find her.
She's there. I actually put a comment on her thing. I go, why don't you get a podcast? And she's like, I do have a podcast. I was like, what?
Of course. She has been recording or broadcasting from like her basement house for like.
She still has a show.
decades.
She's still on the radio.
Yeah.
She's a good person.
Goes to the basement and goes to work.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're so glad to help you. We're just like, I'm so stoked. Ready to tell us your story. We want to hear all about your experience. And we really like to create the space, like a free space for you to tell us your story. Because we think that like there's a lot of filtering and a lot of cuts and a lot of edits, and people chop things up like in the news and the media, but we try to have this be long form and really authentic. So we want you to be able to just tell us from the beginning. What has it been like from the beginning for you in this area, right? And because people find those things and they relate with them, and then they realize they're not alone, and that's a big part of healing on this journey. But if you get caught up, I promise I'll jump in. But other than that, Kat and I usually go on mute until things get weird, and then we'll jump in because we tend to interrupt.
We're always weird.
True that. Cool. So tell us. Go ahead. Take the space.
Take it away.
Hi. My name is CeCe Olisa. I'll start there. I am a Manhattan girl. I live in New York City. And my therapist talks about something called reference group memberships. And I'll give you some examples of a reference group membership. I'll give you some examples of my reference group memberships. My reference group memberships are woman, they are Black woman, and they are plus size. Plus size is a reference group membership for me, right? Just like my Blackness, just like me being a woman, all of those things, me being plus size is part of my identity. So I think that comes from a very like specific experience. And I've been online for a really long time. I have a TEDx called How to Build Self-Confidence, where I tell my story from like being like young and how being a big girl like affected my life. So I'm going to fast forward through all that. If you find me interesting, you can just hear the early years there, but I'm going to get to the juicy stuff because I feel like we have a lot to discuss. So it gets juicy when I'm living in New York City and I start an anonymous, like kind of like Tumblr kind of thing about being a plus size girl in New York City. So it's like everything from like wide calf boots to dating to this and that, but it's anonymous because I'm walking through life as this, you know, size 24, like Lane Bryant, size 24 plus size woman who's 5'10" with dark skin in New York City, like, and my friends are like Heidi Klum lookalikes, right? Like, you know, and we're just like running the city and like living. But I am noticing that my experience is vastly different than theirs. And I'm noticing that when I go to anyone that I kind of know and try to open up about being vulnerable about my plus size insecurities, like they just kind of like, you're beautiful, like, stop, like, okay, yeah. But hey, the attention, like I can count how many drinks she gets and how many I get, blah, 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 right? So it gets juicy because I get introduced to this girl who takes me to like a BBW party for the first time where like everyone, all the women are plus size and all the guys there like plus size girls. Now, the people who know about this lifestyle know you can veer into like kinky stuff. I did not go down that path. Okay. I want it to be clear. Like I was just like a little lamb and they like brought me to this club. But like, I was like blown because in that context, I was like the hottest chick there. So like everything that I would see my Heidi Klum friends experiencing like on the Upper West Side, like I would like sneak downtown with my plus size friends that like my Heidi Klum friends don't know about my plus size friends. I would sneak downtown with them, go to these parties and like live it up. I'm like meeting like very good men. It was lovely. So having the time of my life. But then realizing like, wait a second, the only difference in these contexts is really me. Like I'm acting a certain way at the plus size club because I know that there's been a vetting process and that like I'm accepted here. So is it the Upper West Side bar that's the problem, or is it me in the Upper West Side bar that's the problem? And that's where this concept of like, don't wait on your weight to live the life you want came into my life. Like that was like what I had to tell myself every day. Like bring that plus size club confidence. Because again, that ultimately that was not the lifestyle for me, you know, like had my fun, figured it out, whatever. But taking that into my mainstream life, like that transition was like my anonymous storytelling that I was like working through online. A community formed around that. And so from there, I become like co-founder of the CurvyCon, this big convention at New York Fashion Week. It's this whole thing. The company gets acquired. It's like this whole thing. Like if you start looking at people's 2016 throwback posts, like if most of the OG plus size baddies, like there's CurvyCon images, you know, in their retrospectives, right? So when I, at the height of the success with CurvyCon, had like a major health scare and decided that like, oh my goodness, I do need to kind of like figure out this weight release thing that I keep talking about. And I had leveled myself up from a career perspective to get the therapy, to get the nutrition coach, to listen to my doctor and do what they said to do. I had the time, I had the bandwidth, I had the resources, and I locked in. So being co-founder of the CurvyCon and losing 120 pounds over 8 years, it's not been necessarily fun, and it's not been something that I've done publicly. Like for me in my body, people notice my weight loss every 10 pounds and every 50 pounds. So I could be 49 pounds down and no one says anything. When I get to 50 pounds down, it was like, whoa, you lost so much weight. No, no, no. So like as a plus size fashion influencer, as a lifestyle brand, like I have got all this like public facing stuff going on. And so every 10 pounds or every 50 pounds, the feedback was like so complicated and so nuanced, and people were hurt and people felt betrayed that I had lost weight. And so I just stopped talking about it altogether, even though it had been a part of my brand. Like, again, you can go Google back if you need the whole story, right? So this time around, having gone through a pandemic and not gaining the weight back, the 120 pounds that I lost, having gone through the loss of my mother unexpectedly and not gaining back the 120 pounds that I lost over 8 years, going through breakups and, you know, all the things of life and not having gained back the 120 pounds that I lost over 8 years, I'm like, I want to go for the last 50. Like I have officially released that 120 pounds, and I've gone through a knee surgery and did not gain back the 120 pounds that I lost over 8 years. I have proven to myself in all these crazy scenarios that 50 pounds that I used to go back and like gain, like with the therapy, with the nutrition coaching, with the understanding what's supportive to my body and not, I have figured out how not to gain back that 120. But there is another 50 that I want to lose. And the whole time I've been maintaining, I've had that 50 in mind. And here come GLP-1s. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, I think I can safely say I can do this. Did I kick and scream the whole time when my doctor suggested them? Yes. Like my body positive, fat activist brain needed to figure it out. But once I embraced the idea of obesity as a disease, I've learned so much being on a GLP-1 and talking to doctors who understand and are open. It's been a fascinating journey. So this time around, I just didn't want the secrecy. I didn't want to have to hide from my plus size audience that I'm about to go on an intentional weight loss journey. And so the first 120 pounds, you know, I felt like it was almost gaslighting, but for my mental health, I just didn't discuss it. And this time around, I'm like, no, for my mental health, I'm going to be very loud about it. So if you want to unfollow, please do it now. Do not yell at me anymore about this. And here's why, and here's what I'm learning, and here's what's up, and here's what I think, and here's what it's like to love your body and want to change it. Here's what it's like to become a certified fitness instructor at 220 something pounds. Like here's what it's like to do these things and what I'm learning and how I'm figuring out the loose skin. And I want to just like talk about it because I don't want to visually gaslight people again. And I think it's important for those of us who were born in such a time as this, that have this opportunity, this medical breakthrough is happening in our lifetime. Like I have to say something. I love plus size women too much not to say what's going on. So I'll stop there.
That's awesome. You know, I think somebody had said to me in the past, because Kat and I both still live in big bodies. Although Kat's getting a little thin, many on me. I don't know. But we both still do. We're both tall and big too, like just tall big humans, you know? And when I called the podcast Plus SideZ, I actually had some people be like, I don't want to be associated like with plus size though. And I'm like, it's not plus size, it's plus SideZ. And the reason it's like that is it's a play on plus size, right? But we talk about the plus sides of life. Like that's our goal, right? The plus sides of health and not, it's not really about body size, but I'm with you, girl. Like I identify as a big, beautiful woman, and not in the way you're talking about the other time. We all had our youth. Okay. But you know, but I do, like, I identify as a big, beautiful plus size woman. Like, and if I got smaller, then I would say like a 12.
You're still plus.
Really, really struggle because that would be middle school Kim. Like there's no skinny Kim in existence. I'm not a skinny Kim. Like I'm just not. And so, and I'm curious. I told Kat one time, I was like, I'm curious what my body would look like smaller. And she goes, that's what AI is for. You don't need that. You know? Yeah. That's like truth. AI, make me look 30 pounds lighter. You know what I mean? But I love that. I definitely want to make sure that for our audience, two things. One, if you're open to some questions, I'd love to ask you some.
Yes, I'm here.
And two, I want to make sure we put your TED Talk in the show notes. So if you could send
for sure. Yeah.
People can go and watch it. That would be wonderful. And then I think I've got your socials. So I'll put that in there too. So everybody can go and follow you. Okay. But I would love to know just a little, and obviously your TED Talk goes into more detail. What was it like for you growing up? Did you struggle with weight? Because not everybody does, right? And I'm just curious because you mentioned this is sort of part of who you are. And some people come to this at different stages in their life. So I would love to understand just high level about that.
Sure. Yeah. I was just talking to my little nieces about this. Due to, remember in Devil Wears Prada when she's like, I'm one stomach bug away from my goal weight.
I love it. I ate nothing. And then when I'm going to pass out, I eat a cube of cheese. Right.
Okay. True confession. I have not seen that movie in its entirety yet. I'm terrible with movies.
Kat?
I'll
changing that. I'm coming over. Here I go. No, I'm just kidding.
I would wait truly if you need to.
I mean,
get that handled.
There are some odd movies that I've seen, I know the entire script, but I need to see Devil Wears Prada.
So anyway, due to a rogue oyster I had with my family, I got very close. So I am now 228 pounds. And I was explaining to my nieces, you don't understand. When I was 12, I got on the scale at the doctor and I was 220 pounds. And my doctor said some very harsh things. And my mother asked me to leave the room. And my mother advocated for me, on some body positivity stuff. Right. But of course the damage had been done. My mom handled it. Right. But the damage had kind of been done. And I was I think that's when it was because the doctor was basically hey, you're fat, I don't know how she said it, but it was blunt and it was to the point. And anyway, so yes, I was always a big girl. And my mother's plus size, my parents were mixed size. So my dad, very slender, distinguished Nigerian man. My mom, Black, American, voluptuous, glamorous, shops at Catherine's, that, if you understand the size ranges, right? So we're getting, if I'm getting my jeans at Lane Bryant in junior high school, that tells you what size I am, right? It's giving teacher and student in the same outfit on the first day of school, right? It's giving that. So I grew up big and Black and tall. And now I'm 228 pounds and I'm I haven't been this weight since I was 12. And I always used to think if I only had discovered body positivity, self-love, all of that, then, because I was 220 pounds with a flat stomach, that stomach it was so cute. I remember that. And it's if I had just stayed there, 220 pounds on a 5'10" grown woman, that could be cute. That could be cute. Yeah. And if I had just held that body, I would have grown into the world and it would have never been a problem. So that 220 pound thing is I'm I'm closer to that now as an adult, right? So this is the smallest I've ever been as an adult. And my largest, I was almost 400 pounds.
Quick pause here. I've had moments on my GLP-1 journey where insurance changes or rising costs force me to look for a new provider. And honestly, that process can feel very overwhelming. But that's why the Plus SideZ Podcast is partnered with GLP Winner to give our subscribers a resource to help them make that decision easier. GLP Winner is a comparison platform that lets you explore telehealth providers in all 50 states, whether you're looking for brand name medications or compounded options. You can see pricing up front, read reviews, and get a clear picture of which provider might align best with your needs. Check it out today at glpwinner.com/plus-sides. That's glpwinner.com/plus-sides. Don't forget the Z. Let me tell you a quick story. I was telling Kat how I was regaining weight after my 100-pound loss using GLP-1 medications, and I was having snacky cravings and waking up at 3 a.m., and I had hot flashes, and I was worried. But Kat was like, listen, I went through this last year. It's perimenopause, and I started HRT, and she used this company called Melynda. So I started going there to see if this was something that was going with me. Turns out it was, because I'm 46, and it's been amazing. It's taken a while to find the right dose, but once I did, it's just been huge. I've been sleeping. I feel more myself again. And the hot flashes are gone, which is really bad. So I will tell you, it's just been so big for me. And so I wanted to partner with them on the podcast because obviously many of our listeners are going through this same age range and definitely are having these issues. And there's just no need for you to suffer. So if you go to the link that's in our link tree, you can click on that and save money. If you go there and you meet all the criteria, and this might be something for you to try. So I just want to make sure you had this great resource because it's just been such a big difference for me and Kat. Again, you can go to the link in our link tree and get what you need.
"20 seconds a week to lose 20% of your weight in a year with diet and exercise. That's the power of GLP-1s through Ro. Ro helps find the medication that's right for you, based on cost, availability, and your weight loss goals. Losing weight with GLP-1s is possible through Ro.
Wow. Oh, wow. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was 350 when I started.
Okay.
Or like 347 because every pound counts. Yeah. So I can relate but I think it was just to continue to kind of like balloon for me too. Like same. Kat, what was your size when you started? I can't remember.
So my heaviest was 320 when I actually weighed myself, but I white knuckled down, I think about 20 or 30 pounds, always like this, up and down. And then I thought I was bad every time I lost those 35 pounds. Oh yeah. And then comes back up and then some, but those 30 pounds I claim on my own.
Yeah.
Before
I'm curious, like so you went on this journey, right? So, okay, real quick, we got to talk about Serena Williams real quick. Okay. So Serena's on Oprah, right? And she's talking to Dr. Anna, because I can't say her last name, even though she's
Anya. Right.
Yeah.
Anya.
I think it's Anya or Anya.
I think it's Anya.
I feel awful because I did invite her on the podcast and we'll see how that goes. But if we get Serena too, that'd be great. Oprah. No. Big dream, big Kim. Let's see. I have ADHD.
Dreaming.
But when she was on the show, she was like talking to her about like my body liked to be at this weight, right? And that no matter what she did, her body was always trying to fight her. She'd get more hungry, and the more she exercised. And the doctor was like, yeah, because even when you were doing that and it was making you more hungry, it wasn't just that. Your body was literally burning less. Like it knew better. Right? Like your brain knew better. And I think that's interesting. And I'm wondering, like, on your journey with you being into fitness, right? And this being important to you and you taking a long time to lose that. I think you said 120 to start, right?
Yeah.
And which I think is great. And it's great you lost it slow. I think that's great. But over time, like when it came to food noise, what was that like for you? Mm-hmm. And how did it change when you started a GLP-1?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think, that set point weight, the idea that like your body has like a weight thermometer that no matter what you do, your body's going to want to get back to whatever that set point is huge. And I think at different times in my life, it was a different number. For a long time, for me, it was 312 pounds. Then it was 350. Mm-hmm. And then, like I told you, I was very close to 400. And for me, I was like how Kat was saying the 35 pounds, for me, it was 50 pounds because I am an active, fit girl. So like, because I'll hit that gym, I will swim my laps. I will burn those calories and I will lose that 50 pounds every time.
Yeah, but mine's 30. I think everybody has something. Mine's a 30 pound. I'm like, okay, 30 is in my control. That's about it.
And the white knuckling, it's like wild. And so again, coming from a mixed size family, I think that it's almost like two roads diverged in a wood with me, right? Even as I get smaller, I understand my body more like my dad, who's the slender one, right? I understand like, oh, okay, like this is the structure of my body is like him, but the way I carry my weight is like the women on my mother's side. Like we're still like very dainty. Like we have like tiny ankles, tiny wrists, like, right. So like my mother was very demure, like very demure. And so just that like, so like just carrying plus size in a way that works, in a way that is still, like I'm sure none of us, like you said, we all had our fun, right? So my untreated obesity era was nothing to complain about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that 50-pound whatever, for me, the first phase of it, and this is the part that people don't like and why it took the 8 years, is because the mental health was the beginning for me, right? Some of that stuff was behavioral, and some of that stuff came from my mom. And like, there are things there, as someone who advocates for women and for plus size women, there are so many correlations between specific types of trauma and being obese. And by nature of being a Black American woman and knowing the history of our country, like that is in my DNA somewhere, right? So whether it was you or someone who begat you, if you are a Black American woman, there's certain trauma that like your body can like tilt into like remembrance. These are my thoughts. This is Dr. CeCe. Or, you know,
Listen,
I'm not.
I always tell people, I have chemisms. I get it.
That's not how I feel. Go ahead, Pat.
Have you read the book Fearing the Black Body? I
haven't gotten all the way through it sometimes, but it is dense. But it's one that.
Yeah, I had to listen to it. I was you're right. It's very dense. It reads like a textbook. But then I found it on Spotify and I listened to it, and it's worth a re-listen.
But anyway,
because it is the beauty, the standard of beauty in this country, and there's so many cruxes that it intersects with, and all. It's just. But anyway, it's your turn and I will shut up.
No, I think you're bringing, so if you talk to thousands of plus size women like I do, which I love, you might see some patterns where people say, oh, well, this happened to me. And also I am plus size, whether that is a Black person, not whatever. The idea of your trauma triggering or obesity or something like that. I've heard too many stories.
Oh yeah. There's data. You're correct. Actually, like there's data.
Right. So if there are behaviors with food that have nothing necessarily to do with my personal trauma, but I've learned them from the people around me, then maybe I learned them at a point where my body was accelerating and PCOS was flaring up and this and that was happening. And suddenly your untreated obesity has you at almost 400 pounds.
Yeah.
So I think that for me, the combination of the mental health support, okay, wait a second. Sure, there are things going on that might be a PCOS thing, but like, do I have to order tuna melts and French fries at 4 a.m? Like, do I have to place that?
No, that's for noon. You can do 4 a.m. shit at noon, CeCe. Jeez.
I live in New York City, so I like to take all the perks.
You can get it whenever you want because you're in the city.
Right? I know. My sister lives in Brooklyn. She's like, we have everything.
So if I'm doing that all the time, why? Right. And so that's the mental health journey and figuring that out. Right.
Sure.
And then figuring that out with the nutrition coach who's saying like, oh, well, because your hormonal is like this, you might want to try like sweet potatoes instead of white potatoes. You might want to try brown rice instead of this, like just little this, not that. And you start to be like, oh my gosh, when I eat dairy, my tummy bloats out. Oh, that's weird. Like, so looking at food as healing, looking at the mental health as healing, the white knuckling, that to me is part of the white knuckling, right? Like that part that kind of bolsters it. Your question was with the GLP-1 and the food noise. I think that's when I realized the power of the medication, because I did not know that I was having food noise. I didn't know I could feel ho-hum about food.
That's crazy, right?
That's like what Oprah famously always says when she's talking about GLP-1s. I thought everybody obsessed over potato chips, but no, I guess not.
She was like, you guys weren't even thinking about it. And like, we were all like obsessed. We had Rosie O'Donnell on our show, and she was talking about how she was about to have her first national appearance, and all she could think about were the brownies that were on the table backstage. And she was about to because I mean, that's food noise, right? Like it's, hey, like, I'm concerned, like stress is up, like stress is high, like we gotta eat. I'm not concerned we're not gonna get our next meal. Like we gotta get that set weight, you know? And I think that's true. Yeah.
Can I also say, and I know this is my truth. I'm speaking my truth.
Yeah. That's what
I also was blessed to be in the plus size fashion, plus size influencer world, right? So that was probably the the best career for someone who had a propensity to gain weight, because it wasn't like before in my life. It was like, well, you're too big to do this. You can't do it because you're big. You're big. You're big. But then the world of plus size influence and social media from a plus size perspective opens up, and to be able to say like, oh, it's okay. They have my size. Like they have my size. Right. Yeah. So it had to be a wellness thing. And let me just wrap this up, because I feel like I want to close the loop on sure. the white knuckling section.
It's a very great conversation. We could go on forever.
Yeah, I want to wrap this. I want to wrap this because just to the point of, I had a health scare that made me push past that second white knuckle 50 pounds. Right. Yeah. And so,
do you want to talk about that?
Not really, because I've talked about it before. Like I have factor V lead-in, and I had a blood clot thing, and it was like a lot. Like it's fine.
It was like a lot. Okay.
It was a lot. It was a lot. Okay. But looking at your wellness holistically and looking at longevity, I feel like that is the reason that I feel like being public about this conversation is so important. Yeah. I think that as someone who considers herself a plus size person as part of her identity, I think that making sure that people are educated on what it is like to live with obesity, whether you choose to treat it or not. And so I think that I have to shout from, just like I would say, don't wait on your weight to live the life you want. Just like I would say, don't wait on your weight to live the life you want. Health is a practice, not a pant size. Like these are all your choices that you get to make, and I'm here for you. And this is the choice that I'm making. I'm choosing to treat my obesity, and this is what it looks like. I think that's what makes all of this so important. But I think
so true.
Said a lot and enough. And I love it. Time.
Mm-hmm. No, we're totally fine. I think that's fantastic. I think that I didn't do the mental work before. And I mean, I did therapy and stuff like that. Honestly, I didn't do therapy until much later. I'm not gonna lie. But now I do it a lot. But I think that like getting on a GLP-1 and getting the food noise silence for me was like earth shattering, right? Mm-hmm. Like life changing. Like, and I remember when it happened and kind of having this realization where I was like, I need to know everything about this, and then I need to tell everyone, right? And I was like, that's why I started the podcast with Kat, because we were like, we got to dig in. Like, there's no way this is as simple as just like you eat less. There's just no freaking way. If not, why wouldn't we buy the cheap shit? Sorry, Dad. Like I was cuss. My dad he doesn't want me to cuss on the internet. He's like, until I'm dead, stop. But anyway, I don't want to like mess up our flow, but I felt like Dr. B had a hard stop at 7. So I just want to make sure I'm not making that up. I double checked. She's fine.
I'm not trying to run your show at all, but I was just like,
fine. I checked. I was like, do you have a hard stop? When she was okay.
We can flow some more later,
Yeah. Whatever. I
think that was such a good, like a good point, like for you to kind of, I think, understand the difference with that. Right. And I will tell you, sometimes people go on this journey and that food noise turns off like it did for me. And I did not know what to do with myself, because I have always solved for my sadness and for my happiness and everything with food. So when it turned off and I didn't want it anymore, I had to find new ways. And I kind of remember having this like moment where I was like, maybe I was always enough, and those pieces, they got to come together somewhere. Please try therapy.
and it's so interesting the way you're saying it. I would, because I did the mental health stuff heavy in the early part, the things you're talking about now I'm a little bit more like on the bike with them, right? From the mindset. But I think with this journey, it's like you're going to pay on one side or the other. So if whatever you're avoiding, it's going to get exacerbated one way or the other. It's almost like the strength training, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can get skin removal surgery, and then you're going to say, oh, I got to go to the gym and bulk up. So why not just go to the gym and bulk up now? And then like, just start, you're never going to get away with not doing it. Like you're going to have to do the work one way or the other. It's going to catch you. Like, I don't know.
I think what you're talking about too, CeCe, is like I think like it's all therapy, right? Because you're trying to get to like the healthiest you can be, whatever size that is, whatever size that equals. Right. And like, I think that with this journey, what I've seen is that when you start it, it kind of gets your body, your body, it sort of gets you in a place to receive it, right? Like, because it's calming down that mind. And then it's like, okay, now I can receive the therapy better because things are quiet. Now I want different foods because I'm interested in different things and I'm not driven by the noise. I'm more interested in these kinds of foods than these kinds of foods, right? And all of these different things sort of just makes it possible, like to live whatever this best life equals for you. And I feel like that's what I try to talk about a lot on the show too, because it is different for everybody. And we've had people too that have lost like hundreds of pounds, years over years, that have been on the show, you know? And then this was like the change for them and the one that sort of like stuck, if you will, you know? So I think I'm so glad that you're doing that. And I thank you for sharing your story. And I definitely want to make sure everybody knows to go to your TED Talk. So we'll put that in the show notes. Let's invite in Dr. B and we can talk a little, we can dish a little about the science that goes around this. What do you say?
Yes, please.
Hey, Dr. B, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well. I'm just in awe of the three of you. This conversation has been amazing. I have like a little tear dangling on the side. I'm not a very emotional person, but I've been like smiling and laughing and nodding and, you know, little tears just listening to the three of you. It's really amazing.
So that's awesome. I have to tell you, when I met you in person, I was like, "There's no way she's a doctor." It's because you're so gorgeous. I that sounds awful, but you look like a model. And when and kind of like, how? It's sort of like when you watch like Law and Order SVU, and then you see, and you're like, "I'm sorry, no, homicide detectives do not look like that."
Which is like one of my favorite shows. It's so funny.
Yeah, right, it's so good. But we're so glad to have you here. I want to make sure we always start when we have on our guest and let them tell our audience who they are and how they help people. So if you could tell us a little bit about you, that would be great.
Awesome. Well, I'm Dr. Melynda Barnes. I am a board certified obesity medicine physician. I am a Black woman, as the people who are watching the podcast will see. I love CeCe's talk about the intersections of things because, or the, you know, mixed size family, you know, by ethnicity. My father's from Panama, so the intersections of Black and Hispanic and being a woman and walking through, you know, this world. I hear you on all of that, just with different, you know, lenses and different factors. Who else am I? I am a wife, a mom. I have 3 beautiful girls, age 6, 3.5, and 10 months. As a physician, I like to think the way that I help people is helping them achieve their health goals. That was one of the reasons why I feel lucky enough to join the team at Roe. I'm in the early days, and I was really drawn to the company by the mission of the founders, which was to make healthcare accessible, to give people the healthcare that they want, to start with things like stigmatized conditions, remove that stigma, and help people achieve their health goals so they can achieve their life goals. Z is, you know, notorious for saying no one dreams about having a blood pressure of 120/80. They dream about their wedding or running a marathon or going ziplining or whatever that may be. And so health is a means to the end, which is having that happy and fulfilled life. And I love that. A lot of the men in my family, I think, were failed by the healthcare system. And that really weighed on me when I was going through residency and training, because here I am, I'm a doctor, but I couldn't help people, the people who were the closest to me. And so that also played a factor in why I was so drawn to Roe. And then as I'm chief medical officer at Roe, and so I oversee all of the, clinical aspects, from quality and safety to designing new clinical protocols and helping to launch new clinical offerings like our Roe Body membership. And so I think that ultimately my job is to provide a safe place for people to get care, is to develop and design high quality care and clinical protocols, and then train practitioners to deliver that care. And then all the intersection of that, like how do you talk about it externally? How do you build the digital products and things like that? So
wow, that's a big job, Dr. B. Jeez Louise.
That is.
That's intense.
We all get 24 hours in a day, so I'd like to.
Yeah.
How you break it down.
Is that me with the audio? Was that me?
I hear something crashing in the
background.
Yeah.
I live in New York City, so it's probably me.
Okay. All right. I totally forgot. I forgot. Like when Z was on the show, I think he was having sirens go by.
Yes, I'm also in New York.
Everybody be nice. We're in New York.
Yes. And you become kind of like indifferent to it. You don't even notice it anymore, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's true. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions if it's okay for our audience. So listening to CeCe's story, she did diet, she did exercise, she had discipline, but she still struggled, right? And she was wanting to get to that extra 50 pounds, right? Can you explain what the science tells us about obesity as a chronic metabolic condition, right? And why this effort alone usually isn't enough for most people?
Yeah, I mean, I think that CeCe explained it really well early on, which is that everyone has a metabolic set point. And so there's a weight, there's a number that our bodies sort of feel comfortable at, like they feel like that is the goal. And our bodies are really smart and really adaptive. So when you move from that goal, there are mechanisms in place to help you get back to that, to that set point, to that number. And so there's things like increasing hunger. I think, Kim, you brought it up around burning less energy, burning less calories, right? You're losing the weight and then you're working out, but you're spending less energy. There is food noise, which is huge. And I've heard almost every single patient talk about food noise, and they have the same reaction, which is, wait a minute, this is how you go through life? Well, it's easy then to be fit if you're not thinking about, the chips, the brownies. We've heard patients say from planning their social calendar based on the food that's going to be there, the menu. One of the patients who I spoke to earlier was describing that basically, the 30 minutes after she ate breakfast was the only time that she did not have food noise. That was it, right? The rest of the day, it was, what am I going to have for lunch? I'm in the grocery store, I'm buying food, but I'm also thinking about the next meal and the next day and that weekend and, I want this. And, and we know that food noise is very intrusive, right? It's unwanted, persistent, intrusive thoughts and chatter about food. And so I think what we understand about obesity is that it is a chronic relapsing, right? So that's how do you lose and come back? Relapsing disease, just like other metabolic diseases like high cholesterol, high blood pressure. And those are conditions that have almost no stigma attached to them. And so, right, we don't expect people to will their way out of high blood pressure or having high cholesterol. And so, our smart bodies are setting changes to hunger. There's all kind of messengers, hormones in our body that communicate signals to our brain, from our gut, to our thyroid, around metabolism. And so really you're working hard and your body's almost working harder to get back to that set point. And it's leveraging these hormones and these messengers to affect things like hunger, satiety, or like feeling full, and then energy expenditure. So you're kind of like, fighting against yourself or the biology that has been set, which is also why no two people can have the exact same plan, right? To help them achieve their goals.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think you'll hear some people on this journey where they'll say, oh, I eat exactly like I ate before. And I'm like a size 2 or whatever, and I'm great. And I have muscle and everything, or I exercised like this before, or I ate whole foods and exercised like crazy before. And I just could never get the weight to move. Right. And I think that, but the problem I think with some of this, and I'm wondering, I think this sort of sometimes will hurt the stigma, is that people that with diet culture, it's very much like a, look at me, if I did it, you can do it too. And they're in these, I think that's not a good message, because a lot of times they're in these really small bodies, and the way that a lot of people who are building this community, on the algorithm, they see that and they think that's the norm. And the first time they hit stalls and plateaus, they're like, what did I do wrong? What am I doing wrong?
Yep.
Right? So immediate blame and shame on themselves, which I think goes back to the mental health stuff that CeCe was talking about.
Yes, absolutely. I think that it's just so interesting to me, again, as a physician, when you diagnose someone with a chronic disease, I cannot think of another condition other than obesity where the patient's response back is well, do I have to be on these medications for forever? I mean, yes, sometimes they come to grips well, I have this condition forever. And it's well, unfortunately, you might have, hypothyroidism forever or high blood pressure. Now, we will say to some people, right, high blood pressure can get better with decreasing weight, with
You're the first person that said
alcohol.
That. I keep wanting to ask. Like, you're the first person to say that. I swear, everybody uses it as a reason, but I'm like, but you go to less blood pressure medicine when you lose weight. So I'm afraid to say it because it's like one of the big things.
Well, I mean, also like, as you mentioned Serena on Oprah, and you all may know that we just launched a new campaign with her, Healthier on Row. And so she talked about it, like the health benefits, right? She shared her lab values. And I think that that's something that people don't talk about, but is also true, right? If you lose the excess weight, the fat tissue in your body is hormonally active, right? It makes hormones, it can convert different hormones. And so as you lose that, it does affect things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol. And so it's one of the few areas where people feel like this has been a lack of willpower. So that's the shame and stigma around taking the medication because you think I'm supposed to be able to do it. And my point about bringing up, high blood pressure, high cholesterol is like, those are conditions that can get better with decreasing, caloric intake, with exercise, right? We know that if you walk more, the bad cholesterol, the LDL, that gets better, right? Your HDL gets better. So movement, and I love how you say movement and nutrition instead of diet and exercise. Movement and nutrition is important, period. But we don't, just for health, right? But we don't shame people if their blood pressure gets a little bit better or their cholesterol gets a little bit better with movement and nutrition. We don't shame them if they need medication to go the next, right? But with obesity, and overweight, we just have this longstanding horrible bias against it as a chronic disease.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, CeCe.
One thing I feel like has been my experience, especially knowing I can lose 50 pounds. I know how to do that, right? Yeah. But the maintenance of that 50 pounds or going beyond that 50 pounds, I feel like that is where the giving myself the bandwidth to stick with it, the bandwidth to stay on this way of being for the long term. I think that's when we talk about a lifestyle change versus a diet, to me, lifestyle change means like you have made a change in your lifestyle and you're doing it differently this time. And for me, the GLP-1 helps the lifestyle change of it all to stick. If not, it's just a diet. I'm just doing it for 6 months and losing 50 pounds and then I fall apart and go do whatever. Right. Yeah. So I feel like the GLP-1 helps to keep me it's the marathon, not the sprint. I don't mind taking it slow, but I feel like the GLP-1 is gives me the guardrails to give myself a chance to get beyond what I can do when I just white knuckle it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we like to say that the GLP-1 medication is a jetpack for positive behavior change, right? I mean, we all know sort of the movement we should be doing. We know the nutrition we should be eating. But I think what's really amazing with the GLP-1 medication as well is that not only does it give you that jetpack, but we actually are seeing in the data true changes in patients' preferences, their taste, right? Their cravings. The cravings for fatty, fried, sweet foods go away. And people say for the first time, I actually craved salad. I wanted vegetables, right? Yeah. And it's just, I think it's time.
I don't know what it is.
No, I craved it all. I craved salad when I was heavier, but I also craved a lot of cake.
Listen, girl. Cake. My thing we're living with also cake.
I'm okay.
Well, I think that the other thing too, food noise, we are learning more and more about the relationship between GLP-1s and food noise. And I don't think that we can over talk about it, right? At Row, we were hearing from our patients. We met with leading experts to better characterize it and came up with the RAID-FN scale. And that is really important because it's hard to tell someone about something and it's hard to treat something if you can't really describe it, if you can't measure it, right? And so having that 7-question scale, which is focusing on things like persistent and whether or not the thoughts are unwanted and intrusive, help to give a language and a framework to patients, right?
Yeah.
And so now people can say, well, I didn't know about that. I know about it, but I can also measure it. When you measure it, you can study it. When you can study it, you can improve it, right? And then doctors can treat it. And so we are in this era, which is kind of interesting to think about. Like, obesity and overweight have always been here.
Yeah.
But the GLP-1s are like a flashlight. They're like shining a light into the corners and the nooks and crannies and the bias and the stigmas and like the lack of information that we've had, even from a medical perspective, and helping us understand more about the connection between the gut and the brain, between, fat cells, fat tissue, adipose tissue, and the brain and the gut. And it's truly amazing to see and hear from patients about how their bodies have changed, how their thoughts, whether it's food noise or food cravings, have changed with this medication, because it helps us learn a little bit more about how the body works. When we think about why are they having, the changes and the persistence of them, which is also awesome.
Yeah.
I think that for anyone who's listening who doesn't know what food noise feels like, the example that I would like to share is that over the holidays, I was invited to a cookie party, and the way the day had gone, I didn't eat all day. And so I arrived to this cookie party, and it was literally a cookie party, like the cutest cookies, like everything's so cute cookie competition. And it's like rooms full of cookies, just cookies. Oh, cookies, so many cookies. And I knew I needed to eat, but I needed to eat real food. Like so if I were not treating my obesity with a GLP-1, then that would have been an experience where like all night, like I was just like eating cookies because I was, because of the way food and eating and all that is just a trigger. Like I wouldn't have had the bandwidth to say like, hang out, have a good time, like enjoy this. And after this, you're going to go and get like whatever you're going to get. That's going to be like a protein and vegetables. It's going to be warm. It's going to be nourishing. Like it's snowing today, like that sort of thing. Like that split second of bandwidth to be like, oh, I'm just like not going to have any cookies. That was the GLP-1. And that was the food noise not being there. Like I was able to like claw through and like make a supportive choice for my body. It wasn't about the cookies or not, but that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think what's great is like, too, like we had an episode, we always try to do an episode before the holidays to help people kind of understand about like, you're going to be with your family. They're going to say things. And like, I always talk about how like the first time I was on this and I went to dinner and the Thanksgiving dinner and I wasn't eating a lot and I would only have a few bites of like different things. I just kind of like fill the plate with everything. But people feel about their food, right? Like whether they're eating it or they've made it, like they have emotions about it. It is their word, right? So when you don't eat a lot, right? Like when you don't eat a lot of that food, then people are like, why aren't you eating my food? Like, is it gross? Do you not like it? And it's not. It's just because I'm satisfied, right? Like it's just, I need a couple bites and then I'm done. But most people like are, especially if they have obesity, like, were you on that shot? And that's like something we always have to think about is like how you're going to handle that. But I do think that's the power of it, right? It's like you are in control, because I don't think I was before. I feel like, and it's not that I'm trying to like dodge accountability. That's a thing, right? It's more just that the majority of my noise and the majority of my actions was driven by my disease. Like it just, and I think that's helped me with like healing and forgiving myself a lot. It's just knowing that and that control piece, right? And you in it perfect. It's like you have sort of like the foresight, you have the minute, you have the space and the silence to go, what different decision am I empowered to make? Right?
Yeah.
I can have a couple cookies. And I'm gonna go get my nutrition after. It's all right. Right?
Yeah. I feel like the thing
funeral. I call it there's no food funeral. How that
food funeral. Yeah.
The diet culture that really got me was the notion of a cheat day.
Yeah.
And those cheat days would turn into cheat weeks. Right.
Yes.
But the notion of it all is like I would white knuckle so much for like 3, 4, 5 days. By day 6, it was hog wild. I knew it was time to go butt freaking wild. and that didn't sound appropriate, did it?
I mean, it kind of did. We're talking about BBW.
It was very, yes, intense.
Yeah. So I knew, hey, you know what? I could inhale a whole bag of cookies. I don't care. It's my cheat day.
there's a reason for
and that was not good for you either,
though, right?
Like, yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that people, yes, ghrelin is very, very, very strong. And I like to think of ghrelin as, it sounds like a monster, right? It's like, ghrelin, big G, it's the growling in your stomach. It's the gremlin, exactly. And I think, the GLP-1, so we've talked about like quieting the food noise, but I think the other thing that the medication does that we don't hear as much about is if you think about the messages coming from your stomach and your gut to your brain, right? One message are things like food noise and cravings, which the GLP-1s turn down, right? Yeah. But another huge message is that I'm full. Like not just I'm full, but I'm full and I'm satisfied, right? Satiety is saying I feel good, like I'm satisfied. And I think that what people don't talk about is how much GLP-1s turn up that message. Yeah. So when you are saying like, I have to keep eating, it's a combination, yes, of the food noise of like, there are cookies. I want another cookie. Ooh, what about that cookie? I didn't try that cookie, right? And I describe that to people as, imagine when you first put on your clothes, right? You feel everything that you put on. But then throughout the day, I'm not sitting here being like, I'm wearing a sweater. I'm wearing pants. Yes. But let something be uncomfortable. And all day you're like, oh my gosh, I got to take off these pants, right? It's just there.
Basically your bra, always your bra.
It's like can I take this off, right? Like just all day. That is like food noise, right? Yeah. Which is like, it's just your brain never turns off the signal of like, you need to eat, right? If I'm hungry, which is normal, I haven't eaten, I need to eat something that's hunger, but it isn't, hunger signals aren't necessarily persistent and unwanted and intrusive, right? Yeah. And also hunger signals should be turned off once you eat. Yeah. Food noise can continue, right?
Yeah, good.
When Serena says it felt like my body was missing something, I think like obviously we know that it is, right? And I think that is what you're hearing is the messages going to my brain were not at the right volume or they weren't there. Yeah. So the message from your gut to your brain that tells you you are satisfied, you are full, you can stop eating is either turned way down or it's not even being received. Yeah. And that's why people are like, I just felt like I'm like, sometimes you feel full. Sometimes you feel like I don't really want to eat anything, but you don't have the satisfaction. You don't have the satiety yet. Yes. So you keep eating and you keep eating, right? And that's with GLP-1, that message of I am full, I am satisfied gets turned up. You can have a couple bites. You feel good. Also the emptying of the food out of your stomach slows down. So if the food is still there, you also feel full faster, right? And then you have regulation of your blood sugar. So you're not having these crazy spikes. All of that together is helping with all of this, right? So the food noise is huge, but also I feel like the turning up of the I'm full, I'm satisfied, the food leaving slower, like all those are the ways that the medication is helping.
I love that, Dr. B. I have this friend that's an advocate in our community. He goes by Mike on a mission because he is on a mission to get everybody to pay $25 for this medicine. And he's an advocate with us and goes to the Hill and is a part of OAC and all these different things that we do. And he was saying the other day, you're not chasing suppression, you are chasing satiety, right? Exactly. That those are very different things. And I thought it was just beautiful the way he said it because I had never heard anybody say it that way before. Because when I started this, I had my hunger and food noise turn off at the same time. I did not know there was a difference. So on the journey as the medicine, I had metabolic adaptation, right? Like, in other words, some people who are listening may say it doesn't work as good. It stopped working using that language. Yeah. And I started to feel like this sort of like dull roar of food noise. No, I was hungry. And so I had to learn, okay, I'm hungry. I eat. And it was the same outcome. I would eat, I would have a few bites. I would get full. I would feel satisfied, right? And even when the medicine was not, when a lot of people say that, like I'm not losing anymore, so it's not working, right? They hit these plateaus, they hit these stalls, they panic, And but I think that's why they're so different, right? Those the ways you were talking about, because if we wanted to just suppress, then we could take phentermine. You know what I mean? Like there's tons of stuff we could take to suppress. We've been doing that for years. You get stuff at the gas station to help you suppress. Like, so it really is different, right?
It really is different.
I really do want everybody to understand that. I know CeCe mentioned PCOS, and that has been a very big common thread in our community lately, and around sort of like PCOS being insulin resistance, like that's a piece of it, and how these medicines treat insulin resistance. But not everybody understands that. Do you think you could maybe expand on that for us about maybe why CeCe has, a good experience with this?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, PCOS is another condition that we are learning a lot about, right? We used to say that, PCOS is one, so that's polycystic ovarian syndrome, that it's one phenotype, or like if you have it, everyone looks kind of the same. And we realize that that's not the case. Mm-hmm. There is one phenotype that we see a lot of overlap with obesity, which is a metabolic phenotype of PCOS, metabolic PCOS, which makes sense as to why there would be overlap with obesity, which is also a disorder of the metabolic system. So you do have patients who, and I'm just, sort of generalizing, but patients who might have PCOS who have these certain factors, right? So they may have overweight and obesity. They might have hirsutism, which is like excessive facial hair or excessive body hair, right? It could be facial hair, it could be on the chest. They insulin resistance. And so it is, it's easier to connect the dots to say if you have metabolic PCOS, that if you're on a GLP-1 medication, which is helping to right the metabolic system, that would improve. Couple of things. One is you have the improvement from the weight loss, but also in that blood sugar regulation, right? In the intersection with insulin. So there are some people walking around with PCOS who are thin, and where their PCOS is coming from is they may have high testosterone, or they actually have a lot of little cysts, which we know now are just immature, like follicles. So eggs in the follicles. So they may have a lot of eggs in their ovaries and have high testosterone, but not have any of the other metabolic. So they don't have overweight or obesity. They may not have hirsutism or excessive hair. They may not have the insulin resistance. So that's why we're starting to see that there may be actually different phenotypes or different types of PCOS. So just wanted to raise that in case someone's like, well, I have PCOS, but I don't have any of these other things. You probably have a different type.
It's because there's also different kinds of obesity too, right? We've been learning that lately.
Absolutely.
I also want to mention as well, got it from our friend Dave, PCOS, patients with PCOS is now in clinical trials with tirzepatide. So tirzepatide is being tested.
Yeah, I think the hormonal, you mentioned, Kim, about perimenopause. That's another area where it was interesting is that, to me, there are some people who have been, fighting and working against obesity and overweight their whole life. And there's other people who have not. But to your point, perimenopause comes and all of a sudden it's like, well, I have this abdominal fat that I can't lose. This has never happened to me before, or I'm eating and exercising, or my movement and my nutrition is exactly the same.
Yeah.
But I'm gaining weight. What is going on? Yeah. And, I think, again, the GLP-1s are helping us to learn more and more about our cardiometabolic health, the intersection of metabolism, metabolic health with women's health, whether that's PCOS or perimenopause. And I'm really happy to see clinical trials that are focusing on conditions that affect women, because as y'all know, we have been excluded from trials for so long. It is a new phenomenon to have women in them, and then even newer to have them focus on sort of women's health issues.
Yeah, we're so complicated, all of our hormones.
I know.
Anyway, let's dig a little bit deeper. So weight bias. It shows up everywhere, including, of course, in healthcare. What does the data tell us about how stigma impacts patient outcomes, and what should patients expect from a provider who truly understands obesity care?
Yeah. So first, I'll say, the weight bias and stigma, especially when you hear it within the healthcare community, is just, unacceptable. It's I as a medical student, I remember seeing and experiencing and overhearing weight bias in healthcare. And I just could not even believe what I was hearing, right? It's like, these are patients, and we're talked about, you're supposed to be teaching us humanism in medicine. And it's really hard to think back on those experiences and to CeCe's story, then think about how that experience may have negatively affected that person in that moment, but maybe even for the rest of their life, right? You go to the doctor's office, supposed to be a safe space, and it's not. And what we see is that weight bias does affect health outcomes in medicine. Patients feel they feel not heard. A lot of their symptoms and conditions and complaints, concerns get dismissed. If you come in for something else, people are like, oh, this person is lazy or doesn't care about themselves or what have you. And so already this patient is starting from like an uphill battle of getting this practitioner to believe whatever it is they're saying, because they're thinking, oh, they also probably say that they do eat well and exercise, but I'm looking at them and so I know they don't, right?
So there's no way. They must be lying.
There's no way.
Sure you do.
So there's this again, unacceptable bias and stigma and sort of assumption that they know everything about you based on your physical appearance. And I think if you are at a doctor's office, you should be expecting someone who is empathetic. You should be expecting someone who is respectful, right? They should ask your permission before discussing weight. That person may not be ready yet. They may not be even interested in talking about it. And we do this with other conditions as well, where we say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. Is that okay? Right?
Like consent, guys. It's not hard. Like
it's not hard. Right? They should understand that obesity is a chronic disease. It is not a failure of willpower. It is not a failure of, any kind of moral code or anything like that. Right. And then I think they should also focus on your goals. Again, that's our road stance as well. What do you want to achieve with your life? What are your health goals? What are your life goals? And then how do you leverage sort of that positive energy of like, I want to, and whatever it is that you want to do in your life, there should be no judgment. If you're coming to the doctor because you want to lose weight for your wedding, you want to lose weight for a trip, you want to lose weight or you want to be able to walk up the stairs in your walk up like easier. We should take all of that as the fuel and tack on some of the things that we want to add to that we think that will also improve your health. Like, okay, that's fantastic. Okay, so you want to get ready for your wedding. What about after the wedding, right? How are we going to sustain and maintain this wonderful weight loss? That is the most important day. It could be the most important day of that person's life. Why would we then judge that and minimize the importance of it? Let's harness that, right? And then use that as the jetpack for that positive behavior. And so they shouldn't minimize, they shouldn't judge, they should offer a full toolkit. Let's talk about nutrition, let's talk about movement, let's talk about medication, talk about mental health, let's talk about triggers. Like CeCe said, she can think about things from her mom or from her childhood that may have led her to do X, Y, and Z. And it's important to give people that space to be able to talk about it. If you don't even feel equipped as a physician to go into detail, at least guide them to resources to say, hey, let's unpack that, right? And I think most importantly, when you go to see a physician, you should feel like they are signing up to be your partner, right, on this journey. We just said it's a chronic disease. This is not a come in. They shouldn't have their hand on the doorknob saying, okay, just eat less, move more. No, right? Turn around, sit down, let you share. They can say, okay, look, I like to partner with you on this. Here's what our plan is going to look like, and go from there. And if you're not getting that, come to Row, because that is what we are designing. And that's what we're very proud of is our comprehensive obesity and weight management program.
I think it's great. And one of the reasons that we partner with Row, gosh, been like a year ago, I think now, was because the fact it's sort of roots, right, of like stigma breaking and, health goal focus. And I think that's good because we need to do that here. Because diet culture runs very thick, and I definitely think that we're going to see, and I'm curious to your thoughts on it. Like we're going to see, for better or for worse, if everybody gets access with Medicare or Medicaid, let's just say in summer of this year, right? I think that we're going to have a lot of people that need guidance on this that aren't going to get it from the way that Medicare and Medicare set up with PCPs. And I think that it's so important to know, and I don't want people to feel like they don't have community and they don't have, all of the support, because again, like I think when I started, I didn't, and we all kind of ended up building this sort of community infrastructure together. Right. And I love like companies like Bro that are doing where they're thinking about this holistically and thinking about this as whatever, like your health and your goals. Because like if CeCe says 50 pounds, but maybe the BMI says she needs to lose 80. I'm just lying, CeCe. I don't know. Right. But like if your goal is 50, then the doctor shouldn't be like, oh no, you need to lose 80. Right. Like I think that's like another sort of good example in this area. But I think that it is very specific to the patient. And I love what you said about like that wedding or that thing that they're going for, maybe a huge moment for them in their life where they want to feel and look and feel the most confident, right? And the best. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like that's
nothing wrong with that.
Why we have to think that's a bad thing,
I mean, it's both, right?
Yeah.
Oh, CeCe.
I was just going to add that everything that Dr. B said is 1,000% correct. And it's so refreshing to hear a doctor say those things.
Yeah. Right.
I think that for anyone who's right. I also think that for anyone who's listening, it is important to acknowledge that like for some of us, hearing about our weight is a charged thing. It's a charged topic.
So much.
And the person and the messenger and the right moment and the temperature being the perfect temperature and the breeze aligning for you to really hear what you need to hear. It's slim to none that moment ever happens, right?
So true.
So something that I would suggest for those of anyone who's listening or who's in this conversation thinking it through is to do some scripting for yourself, like to be able to say like, okay, if my doctor brings it up and I'm not ready, I'm going to say this. Or if my doctor brings it up and I don't like their tone, I'm going to say, hey, I'm open to hearing this, but is there another practitioner I can talk to? Like script for yourself. Like if this happens, then this, if this happens, then this, like, this is how I'm going to advocate for myself. I'm going to record my appointment. I'm going to have my cousin come with me because they're a little bit more, have a stronger backbone. Like there is a conversation that needs to be had. And sometimes the doctors don't do it well. My story started with a moment like that, right?
Yeah.
So yes, but also anybody coming to you in love about your weight or from a medical perspective about your weight isn't going to feel good. Like it's just not, right? So I just want to try to advocate for yourself and make it easier for yourself with some scripting, but also open your heart and mind that if a medical professional, that's what happened to me. A medical professional started suggesting a GLP-1 to me. And as someone who is body positive and had all these political kind of leanings, I did not want to do it. And he stayed on me in a way that was like very gentle, but like I was also in the space to hear it and be like, okay, this next 50, I want to get it done. My knees still hurt. 1 pound of weight is 4 pounds of pressure off my knees. This guy is like telling me to do this, like, let me think about it and ultimately make the choice that was right for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I just feel like that moment with the doctor is just never going to be perfect. So I do want to say like, some of us might have to push past that. And again, if a doctor doesn't make you feel safe, you can say like, hey, can you put a note in here that like, I'm actually interested in another provider, like, but script it for yourself. Cause in the moment it's going to be tough. Right. So I just want to throw that out there.
And I think you're right. And lots of people have had this happen before. And this goes back to like the consent thing that Dr. B was talking about, right? Like, I think asking like, can we talk about your weight? Like there's something in that, like, cause it changes the power dynamic. Right. Where it's like, you're kind of, again, like back in that replace to receive. Like I remember I think I was like 18. And one of my first experiences, like going to the doctor on my own, picking it out of the book. That's right. The book. It was before the internet. And going to see a doctor, and I had never met her. She never even came in to introduce herself. She walked in the door and said, your weight's a concern. I was like 18 or 19 years old. Right. And that was it. And then when I started GLP-1s, I met with a nurse practitioner who sat down with me and heard me complaining to like the nurse about, I don't know what it is. I can't lose any more than 10 pounds. Like it had gotten real bad for me. And I sat down with her and she goes, I heard you saying that you were upset that you could only lose 10 pounds. And I just wanted to tell you, I think that's such a win. And I'm so sorry that you feel that way. And I got into a place to receive. And that means a place to receive treatment, right? And change my life, all because a clinician sat down and said something positive to me about weight instead of let's find a way for you to eat less, move more, or your weight's a concern or anything like that. So like that language is important. And it may be, CeCe, like as an advocate in the space, right? That we do have to say those things to be able to drive that change so practitioners do things differently, you know? What do you think?
I think it would be completely fair to be like, hey, I came in here. I know New York is New Yorking. Should I wait?
Yeah, it's me.
It's cool. Yeah.
She said New York is New Yorking.
I'm telling. This happened when we did a Z's interview too.
So I'll just finish this sentence while she's on mute. It is completely reasonable to say like, hey, I came into the doctor. One of my favorite books is called Skin and Bones. If you love plus size characters in literature, it's by Renee Watson. I highly recommend for plus size women to read Skin and Bones. But there's a scene in the beginning of Skin and Bones where she goes in for a yeast infection and the doctor is talking about her weight, right? It's, to your point, like she came in for one specific thing, bringing up the weight. So like in a scenario like that, I think it's completely reasonable to say, to your point of receiving, like, hey, totally open to this conversation, but that's not what I'm here for. Like, I'm here to talk about my yeast infection. Like, I would like typically when it happens, like, I've heard you, but like not today, right? Or like, hey, I've heard you, but like, I'm not in this. Hey, I've heard you. Can we put a note? So my next time I come in, we can talk about it. I'll be more prepared. You're kind of catching me off guard. Like, again, like script for yourself so that you don't feel disarmed. Because again, anyone bringing up your weight, like it's never going to be ideal, environment for that.
Nobody
okay.
likes. Yeah,
I remember once. It was the only doctor that did it to me. This the current doctor that I have. No doctor had ever asked, "Is it okay for me to talk to you about your weight?" This was about 8 years ago, and I was dumbfounded. I just sat there and I looked at her like, "Are you serious right now? Is that what we do?"
Really?
And I was like, "Doctor, I'm so touched. Like, really? Yeah." What? I was just like.
And to think from the physician point of view, it's like no one has done this. I mean, I think I also like to say at Row, like, we need to show them that we know them, show the patients that we know them, right? And I think in person, you do the same. Yeah. Someone comes in, maybe they are limping, maybe they have difficulty sitting down, maybe they have difficulty standing up. You can take it as a moment to say, hey, I noticed it was a little bit difficult for you to stand up. Are you having pain in your knees? Or, hey, I'd like to get some blood work. When the blood work comes back, if the cholesterol is elevated, if different biomarkers are elevated, you can take that time to say, listen, no matter what, we are going to treat and work on X. Yeah. But I'd like to take some time to talk to you about your weight if you're okay with that. Yeah. You have to make them feel safe, make patients feel heard, make patients feel and know that you're on their team. And like you said, CeCe, it's not easy, right? But the sort of the like uneasiness shouldn't be put on the patient. Like we should take some of that to say, look, I know this is a difficult conversation. We can even book a separate visit just to talk about it. But here's some things to think about, or get to know your patient, right? I would leave little notes in the chart like, okay, this has a daughter in high school getting ready for graduation, right? Next visit, hey, how's it going with graduation? Like, have you picked out your outfit? Like, what can you use to help open up the conversation without it feeling unnatural or feeling like defensive, right?
Yeah. I love that. I know we're coming up on time. I have like 2 questions. I swear I'll be fast. The first is one of the most common questions that I feel like we get from our community is, what do you do when you hit a stall, or what do you do when you hit a plateau? Like whether it's for weeks or for months, I think,
or years,
or years. Cat had years. I think I have too, actually. I think understanding a little bit about what happens with the body, even when you're on the medicine, like, and things that you might need to adjust, or the fact that, like, a lot of times I tell people, like, you adjust what you can, but it's time and treatment. That's like and that's a Kimism. I found it like so many times, but I think understanding the clinical side helps people calm down a little and also maybe feel to control what they can. And I was wondering if you could comment on that for us.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. Like, your body is very powerful. It's very smart, and it will adapt and change to that new input. And what we've seen is that when you have your physician as your partner, they can help you like walk through some of those things. So sometimes plateaus and sort of like hitting a wall, there may be other underlying things that are going on. You may have food noise come back, right? You may have cravings. And so there may be other medications that we can layer on top of the GLP-1 that may help with that one specific thing if you're having a craving for something. We might find that movement and nutrition has changed, right? And so we need to talk to you a little bit more about movement. And it could be that your knee is still hurting you. And so the running or the walking is not working for you. Okay, can we talk to you about swimming, right? CeCe talked about, getting in the pool and swimming. The point is that we know that we are fighting against set point biology as well. The medications are helping, but there are a lot of hormones that are regulating appetite, hunger, satiety, energy expenditure. And so, right, as more medications come out, and that's what's really exciting about this space is that we're saying, whether they're calling them incretins or GLP-1 plus, or we'll see if the NUSH was another category.
Yes, I added that to my profile.
Do we want to talk about the NUSH? I'm like, what is that? But the fact is that we will come out with medications that have new targets. And so what I think we'll see in the future is personalization at the point in your journey, who you are as a person. Are you dealing with perimenopause? Do you have PCOS? Do you have sleep apnea? Like, what do your other biomarkers look like? And we'll be able to target different aspects of this entire obesity, overweight pathway. But I think in the right now, if you're hitting a plateau, it's not the time to either give up or say, well, you know what, I'm just going to stop.
I'm just done. I'll get off.
I'm just done.
A lot of people do. They're like, why am I paying for this if it's not working? And they don't realize like the fact that you haven't regained all of it, it's still working.
Thank you. I was going to say that the medication working is not just active weight loss, right? Because all of you have said, you know how to lose weight. Now, how much weight may be different, right? But you do know how to white knuckle, or you do know how to lose weight. The hard part for a lot of people is how do you maintain that? And so it is a win to maintain that weight loss, right? Not regaining it. And also remember, it's a huge win to have that jetpack for that change in nutrition, in movement. So if you are moving more, if you're eating better, if you are able to get out and do things that you always wanted to do, but you couldn't, right? And you're not regaining weight, that is, I would say, a triple win. Like, that is amazing. And we have to remind people of that. Like, it's not a constant weight loss, and that's okay. And probably for some people, there is, when you hit like that goal weight, or you hit sort of this vicinity of like, I've never lost that much weight before and been able to keep it off for longer than a few months, that is a victory. And we want to help maintain that. I do think if you start to feel certain symptoms come back, especially like food noise or cravings, that is a good point. That is a good time to touch base with your practitioner, your clinician, to bring that up, because again, maybe there is a dose adjustment or a different medication that could be helpful in that situation.
I love that. And I think that's what's important to do, like you said, about the ones that are coming down. So we have ones that are here that we can combine, but I think like a lot of people think, like still with all the work we're doing, still think that this is just about forcing yourself into a calorie restriction. And it's just so much more than that. Because if so, why would people keep making these? Do you know what I mean? Like, why would certain ones show more weight loss than others? Like, it's, so I think like as the more we start talking about it in the way that you are, Dr. B here, like with it being this like chronic condition, this chronic disease, and there being like, I think just like you said, like the treatments are almost tailored, right, to what's going to work for you. And it is something we have to constantly deal with,
It is. Yeah.
Go ahead, Kat.
All right. So Dr. B, beyond this conversation, a lot of our listeners are going to be curious about support beyond the interview today. Can you talk about Ro's body program, who it's designed for, how it supports patients in the long term, and also where listeners can find you, follow you, and learn more about you and Ro and CeCe? Where can we connect and find you and your journey as well?
Awesome. So the Ro Body membership is a comprehensive obesity care and weight management offering for people with overweight and obesity or obesity who want treatment with the GLP-1. And so our Ro Body membership has a number of components to it. So one, we have insurance, concierge, and navigation, which is really important, right? We want to be the best place for patients to start their journey. And so we have an insurance checker that you can fill out a short form, put in your insurance information. We will check your benefits. And so we are the most affordable place to start that GLP-1 journey, and where we can check your insurance. It also comes with regular consultations and support from licensed practitioners. It comes with one-on-one coaching from nurses about your treatment, but also behavioral changes, as we talked about with movement and nutrition. You also have anytime messaging with members of your care team, which could be your practitioner, could be a nurse, could be a patient advocate. We also help you track your progress. You have access to educational content with this, which is curated to really speak to you at your point in your journey. And then we help you achieve your goals past weight loss, right? So we talked about health goals. We talked about improvement in different biomarkers like cholesterol or high blood pressure. And I think where can you find us? So one, again, just I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but we're super excited to announce that we are going to have a Super Bowl commercial with Serena Williams. We announced that today. Yes. So I mentioned this earlier, but the campaign is called Healthier on Row, and it highlights so many ways that GLP-1s have helped Serena, including beyond weight loss, which made me think about it. So she talked about like her knees don't hurt anymore. Her blood sugar is down. She has more energy. And it's not just the name of the campaign, like Serena is literally healthier on Row. And one thing that I thought was really incredible is that Serena did blood work back in like 2021. She repeated that blood work and she showed that her cholesterol was lower by 30%, which translates to a decreased cardiometabolic risk of 70%, like a relative reduction of 70% in her cardiometabolic risk. So it's huge. People are healthier on the GLP-1s, healthier on Row. And if you want to learn more, I believe we have a special backlink for the show. So you go to row.co /plus SideZ.
Yes.
And I mean, I don't know if people really want to follow me, but I'm on, Instagram at Melynda Barnes MD, or I think it's Dr. Melynda Barnes MD. And on, X and LinkedIn. But if you go to row.co, you'll get all the information that you need.
Awesome. What about you, CeCe? Where can we find you?
I will spell my name at the end of this, but the best places to find me are on Instagram and my Substack. And my name is spelled CeCeOlisa, Olisa, CeCe. Yeah. So
we will put all the links in the show notes to all those things. You can very easily go, if you're listening or watching, and just follow right there. And you guys can, and that way I just think it's good, especially like if there's something about not being alone in this journey and like that realization, because so much of obesity is being alone, So I think it's really cool to be able to follow people that are, either going through this journey or understand this journey and been educated like in this area. It really does help. Guys, it really does, especially when you just learn the new medicines come out and you learn new things about them and you learn how people are feeling and experience. So I hope that you will do that. And this has been a lovely conversation. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us today. Yes. And again, follow everybody. Thank you. And I hope this has helped you. We will see you next week. Hasta la pasta.
Hasta la pasta.
Let me tell you a quick story. I was telling Kat how I was regaining weight after my 100-pound loss using GLP-1 medications, and I was having snacky cravings and waking up at 3 a.m. and I had hot flashes, and I was worried. But Kat was like, listen, I went through this last year. It's perimenopause, and I started HRT, and she used this company called Winona. So I started going there to see if this was something that was going with me. Turns out it was, because I'm 46. And it's been amazing. It's taken a while to find the right dose, but once I did, it's just been huge. I've been sleeping. I feel more myself again. And the hot flashes are gone, which is, really bad. So I will tell you, it's just been so big for me. And so I wanted to partner with them on the podcast because obviously many of our listeners are going through this same age range and definitely are having these issues. And there's just no need for you to suffer. So if you go to the link that's in our link tree, you can click on that and save money. If you go there and you meet all the criteria, and this might be something for you to try. So I just want to make sure you had this great resource because it's just been such a big difference for me and Kat. Again, you can go to the link in our link tree and get what you need.
Today's episode is brought to you by Ro, a telehealth platform that's changing the game of GLP-1 access. What sets Ro apart? Ro understands the challenges of navigating insurance hurdles and the skyrocketing prices of GLP-1 medications. That's why they specialize in getting insurance approvals for GLP-1s. And if insurance is a barrier, they go a step further by prescribing brand name zepbound vials for prices close to those of compound GLP-1s. With Ro, you're not just getting a prescription, you're getting a partner in your journey that's helping you access affordable treatment and guiding you every step of the way. Whether it's insurance approvals or cost-effective alternatives, Ro is here to make sure that you get the medication you need. Visit ro.co/plus SideZ with a Z today to see how they can help you take control of your weight management journey with affordable, accessible care. That's ro.co/plus SideZ with a Z, making healthcare work for you. Check out the link in our show notes for more details. Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus SideZ Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus SideZ Podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, wegovy, or Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus SideZ Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together, because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus SideZ Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.